Hello, my name is FPL Pickle and welcome back to another video. So today we have my Game Week 7 team selection, and spoiler alert, I've already made a transfer. So what we'll do today is talk about how my Game Week went in Game Week 6, talk about the transfer I've made already and why, and then we'll go over how my team is looking in Game Week 7. So if you enjoyed today's video, please give the video a like and also consider subscribing as well. I'd really appreciate the support. So yeah, to start off with Game Week 6, I did briefly go over this in my Pickles preview video, so feel free to watch that or feel free to skip if you've already watched that. But I'm going to briefly go over it again. So in Game Week 6, I activated my triple captain chip on Haaland, and it went very well. Well, it only at the last minute did it go very well. He was on a 5-pointer until right at the end where he scored a brace, and I must admit, it was a very exciting feeling, especially because, you know, there's been a lot of people that have wildcarded in this week, so it felt like a way to kind of go against them in a sense. So to get 16 points from Haaland was insanely good. I was so shocked, and I've never had a successful triple captain chip either, so I was very happy about that. Other than that though, to be honest, the team didn't do great. Watkins getting an 8-pointer was very nice, because we all know I've held on to him for a very long time, and I don't know why I've still got them, but it is what it is. They're going to stay even for a little bit longer. But yeah, other than that, it was a bit of a stinky week, to be honest. The defence was shocking, and I think that's where a lot of the wild card has kind of caught up with me in a sense. Especially with the Gabriel 13-pointer right at the death at the end of the game week. That definitely stung a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I'm still feeling a little bit salty about it, but it's fine. It is what it is. Still got 74 points overall and got a nice green arrow from 4.3 million to 2.3 million. So we are making progress. So overall, the team is actually looking quite good for Game Week 7. I did make quite a rash transfer the other day to kind of catch a price rise, because to be honest, my team value is in the bin, and that's where I'm kind of, I suppose, disadvantaged. So I'll go through that now and talk about a little bit more about why I've done it. So guys, for the second week running, I've made early moves, and this is not something that I typically recommend people to do because it does come with a lot of risk. But I don't know, there's something about this season where I'm feeling a bit more hectic and stressed, so I ended up making another early move, and this was a move that I made on Sunday evening, I believe it was. And basically, as you can see, I transferred out Williams for Senesi. So the defenders that I had were Williams, Konza, Porro, and Anderson, and Beal. Well, we won't talk about him, but yeah, those were the four that I had. And I think with Senesi, you know, DEFCON in 6 out of 6 games, I thought I was getting away with it. I mean, he had the DEFCON, but then to get the assist right at the end, I think he got a 7-pointer in the end. He just seems to be looking like a really good asset. I'm planning to wildcard in 8, so this game week right now, I'm not wildcarding yet. I'm going to leave it a little bit longer. So this wasn't the most logical move, and you'll probably see why when you see my team in a bit, but I think just in terms of price rises, he was going up again, and I just thought, I'm definitely going to have him in my wild card, and he would be very nice to have in Game Week 7. So I only had the one free transfer, but I was just like, screw it basically, and I just transfer Williams out because he seemed like the one I'd least want to play in Game Week 7. So yeah, and he did go up to 4.9 million, so I've got a little bit of team value there, and I'm sure he'll go up again as the weeks go by. So now that I look at my team, and you'll see it in a bit, I'm happy I've done it. But I think in terms of the defensive options I had, it wasn't a priority move, and you'll see in a bit that I have no Arsenal assets, so you might be thinking, why did I not prioritize them? But in terms of Gabriel, I couldn't afford him. Raya, before this move, I couldn't afford him. So I just thought, who do a lot of wildcarders, wildcard sixers or whatever have that I don't have? And Senesi was one of them, and he was a player I really wanted. So yeah, I made the move. Not the most logical move, but I think I think I'm happy with it. I don't regret it anyway. Like, I look at him in my team and I'm quite relieved that I have him now. Even though Fulham at home's not the easiest fixture, I can imagine him getting DEFCON in this game once again. And potentially even attack and return as well. And you can see even his ownership's quite high now. So, yeah, I'm happy with it. Let me know what you think. You'll see how the team's lining up now. But do you think this move was silly? I mean, I can't take it back now anyway. So it is what it is. But yeah, that's the move. But yeah, let's move on to the team now so you can see how it will line up with Senesi in it. So for Game Week 7, this is how the defenders are lining up. So because of that move, I'm obviously going to start Senesi, right? Like, surely. But it does mean that I've now got a little bit of a benching headache going on. I'll talk more about it later on as well. But we first got Sanchez in goal and have Dubravka on the bench. And I've had a lot of people ask me already, why do you have Sanchez playing instead of Dubravka? Number one, I've got 3 filler players in this team. So I feel like I should back filler, right? But also, Liverpool haven't been great. They're definitely not their usual selves. You know, like, they've had a lot of new signings. Verts is not looking great. Salah's not really in form at the moment. Ekatike's injured now. Isak's got to play 90 and he's building up his fitness. I feel less stressed about Liverpool than I normally would be. So, and you know what? Sanchez hasn't been playing too bad. I mean, I know he had his red card fiasco and whatnot, but he played quite well in the Champions League last night. And, don't know, I just feel like he could do okay here. I'm not expecting much. There is the potential for me now that I have 0.7 in the bank to get Raya for a -4, but I don't know whether that's worth it or not personally. So yeah, for now I'm going with Sanchez. Let me know in the comments what you do. Would you start Sanchez here or would you put Dubravka in? You'll have to let me know. But I think when I've got 2 Villa players coming up that you'll see in soon, doesn't really make that much sense to me. But yeah, the rest of the back line, again, there is a little bit of a benching headache going on here. Senesi, there's a no-brainer. I've got to start him. I mean, I've bought him in. He wouldn't be a player that I'd want to bench in most weeks, really. So happy to have him in the team there. Got Pedro Porro in for Leeds away. Now, this is a very good fixture, but we saw that Porro last week did get benched, and there were a few people that did call it, but I just didn't really. I just thought surely he'll start, but he sadly didn't. He got a 1-pointer. He played 90 minutes again last night in the Champions League, so there is part of me worrying, is that going to happen again? Is he going to get benched again? But I'm like, surely not, right? You guys let me know. Is it too risky? It is such a nice fixture. I know Tottenham haven't been amazing defensively, but it's a nice fixture to have him for. And he definitely is less desirable now. He's not really on set pieces anymore with Xavi Simons on the pitch and stuff. So I'm kind of excited to get rid of him. But for this game week, he's nice to have if he starts. So that's Pedro Porro. And then I've got Konza starting. Was debating whether to bench him or not, but it's Burnley at home. It's going to be the last time surely this is the last time I'm owning him this season. Oh, terrible pick in hindsight. But anyway, I feel like you've got to play him for the fixture. But there is Anderson on the bench, who we do know is good for DEFCON. But I have Senesi and Semenyo in my team. So it's difficult because I feel like Konza could very likely concede. And is less likely to get DEFCON. He's terrible for DEFCON. I do feel that Fulham will concede, but Anderson does seem much more likely to get DEFCON. So the defensive situation, there's a few benching headaches going on here. Let me know what your back three would be here. Would you have Konza in there or not? Or would you bench Porro? Let me know what you think. But yeah, we're not even going to talk about BL. I'm still salty about it to this day. I've lost money on him, so yeah, we're sad about that. But yeah, let's just move on to the midfielders. So as you guys can see, I'm going for a 3-5-2 formation. So all of my midfielders are in play here. And to start off with, we've got Reinders for Brentford away. He hasn't been blowing my mind, Reinders, but I have gained a lot of value on him. So, you know, I'm happy to have him for the game. Brentford away is a pretty good fixture. But he's not overly exciting me, and I think with my wild card, I'm probably going to get rid of him. I'm still debating that, but yeah, he's there, so I'm happy to play him. Likewise, just hit my hand off the table. Likewise with Fernandes, I'm probably not going to have him on my wild card, but for Sunderland at home, very happy to have him for this game. I have my vice on him. I don't think I don't know. Some people are thinking about captaining him, but I'm not overly comfortable with that when I've got Haaland in my team. We know that as of recording right now, Man City are playing. He's scored a brace already, so I'm going to captain Haaland. Unless he gets injured, then that will change things, of course. So caveating that. But yeah, Fernandes, I'm happy to have him for this game. And we've seen that Sunderland is not as easy of a game as we initially thought. But, you know, Fernandes could easily get a pen here. And I know he's missed 2 already this season. But I have faith in him. And I feel like Man United, could do well here. So, again, not a problem for me. Semenyo, wow, he's so highly owned now, and he's a lot more expensive than he was before. But yeah, Fulham at home, no-brainer. I'm not going to bench him. I don't feel like I need to say much more than that, really. NDI, Crystal Palace at home. Now, you've probably seen the graphic that I have a forward on the bench. And in terms of benching decisions, this is where I'm like, and ahhing about it. I think NDI played really well against West Ham. They nearly had a pen, and I think he would have taken it, and that's the thing, he is on pens. But Crystal Palace at home is not an easy fixture at all. Crystal Palace have been so good this season. I'm so excited to own some of their assets soon. I can't believe I don't have any at all. But yeah, NDI, it's like I'm happy to play him, but if there was going to be a player that I'd probably bench, he might be the one. But then alongside him, I've got Rodgers, and we know that Rodgers has been very poor this season. He got an assist technically last game week, but it touched his hand. So not really, but I don't know. I just feel like I've kept him for this long, and for Burnley at home, I should probably play him. But one could maybe argue to bench him. So that's the midfield. As you can see, there's no Arsenal, and that does worry me, by the way, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But yeah, other than that, I'm quite happy with how this team is looking so far. Let me know what you guys think. Are there any players that you'd be happy to take a -4 for here to get an Arsenal asset for? Or do you think it's pretty solid? Let me know. But yeah, let's move on to the forwards now. If you're still here watching me waffle, then first of all, thank you very much. But second of all, I'm very close to 7,000 subscribers now. So if you haven't clicked that button yet, then please do. But anyway, let's move on to the forwards. So Haaland, captain, duh, you know. I think, obviously, like I mentioned, Fernandes is a contender, but realistically, with the form Haaland's in, he's scored a brace as of right now, could even get a hat-trick tonight. I just think, for Brentford away, it's a decent fixture, more than happy to captain him, and I'm very, very happy that I own him, especially when, you know, it felt a bit nerve-wracking selling Salah, but Salah has been quite off it. Liverpool are not looking at their best at the moment, so it feels good to have Haaland because we know how much of a monster he can be, and he can haul, as we saw last game week as well. So yeah, I'm happy with that. And then we've got Watkins, who finally got something last game week. And you know what? I am very happy to have him for this game week. Obviously, his EO is much lower now, and he is a bit of a differential. All the Villa assets are differentials, really. I must admit, I'm quite excited to get rid of them on my wildcard, but one last stance, you know. I'm sure I'll be getting at least Watkins or Rodgers back later on in the season. I'm sure they'll turn things around, but they're not at their best by any means. But it did look more promising against Fulham, that's for sure. So Watkins, hopefully that goal has boosted his confidence a little bit, because he is one to struggle with his confidence. So I hope that it does, and that we can get a result against Burnley, and it's at home as well. So I'm hopeful, and you know, like I mentioned, one last stance. I want to back him one more time, and then we'll part ways for a little bit. But yeah, I mentioned that there was a forward on my bench, and that is João Pedro. Got sent off last night, and that does not carry over into the Prem, so he will play, well, potentially, against Liverpool, but we saw that he isn't going to be playing over the international break. because he has got a bit of a physical issue going on at the moment. I think he is still going to play against Liverpool, but yeah, at the moment I'm not overly convinced about Chelsea at the moment. Obviously they've had so many red cards and that has not helped their situation. Chalobah's not going to be playing against Liverpool. So they haven't been at their best. They don't have Palmer. João Pedro is playing as a 9. I feel like he is more suited to the 10. He's not in his optimal role. Hasn't been taking any shots. I think it's 0 shots in 3 games, which is not what you want when you have a forward that's that expensive. So yeah, for those kind of reasons, he is on my bench at the moment. The kind of worry about his physical issue and just that Chelsea haven't really had the opportunity to create many chances because of their issues that they've been having with Sanchez, Chalobah and all that. But at the same time, Liverpool haven't been great, like I mentioned, and defensively, so Konate is not doing his best at the moment. I mean, I think just the whole defence isn't amazing, so this could be the game where you're least expecting it, where JP can get something, and, you know, you look at his EO, and it is scary benching him, I'm not gonna lie. So part of me is wondering, do I just start him and maybe bench NDI? But I'm just not too sure, and I just feel like out of all the players I've got, he's the one I'm least excited about, and, you know, I just feel like he either might not play even at all, or he isn't going to do that well. So that's the team. Again, I know there's no Arsenal, we'll talk about it in a little sec, but I feel like it looks alright. And I feel like I can cling on a little bit longer before wildcarding. I'm very excited to activate it on Friday though. But yeah, that's the team. Let me know what you think. Are there any major changes you would make? So I know I've already kind of discussed a lot of these things, but I just wanted to recap the sort of dilemmas that I have with my team ahead of Game Week 7. And I think the major thing is I've got a few benching headaches going on here. So I talked about João Pedro, and it's like, do I bench NDI? Do I bench João Pedro? Or even Reinders? Because I mentioned I've not been overly impressed with him as of late. But I feel like Reinders is the one that I'd more likely start because it's quite a good fixture. So yeah, JP or NDI. Struggling a little bit. I think NDI is on pens, so I feel like that may swing it for me. But at the same time, like I mentioned, JP is so highly owned. And, you know, Liverpool haven't been great. And it might be that JP is on pens and that, you know, that he did give the penalty to Enzo. We still don't know for sure. So yeah, I'm finding that one a little bit difficult to decide. And then likewise with the defence, do I bench Porro or Anderson or even Konza? I think I'll just play Konza, but because of the doubts around Porro, it might be that I switch to Anderson last minute. And then the goalkeeper situation, I'm less conflicted about it, but so many people have been asking me, but I guess it's just I have no Liverpool assets, but I have 3 Villa assets, so I feel like I should just back the Villa assets and, you know, say that they will score. And I do feel that there is a little chance that Sanchez could keep a clean sheet. He probably won't. But he has been performing a bit better, and I can see him making saves. So I feel like in the end, they'll probably end up scoring the same amount of points, but I'm going to slightly cling on to Sanchez for now, I believe. But in the comments, I'd love for you guys to let me know, like, which ones out of these would you bench? Like, say, I don't know, JP, Porro, and Dubravka. And then, you know, maybe that will change my insight if there are people that are massively disagreeing with what I'm putting at the moment. But yeah, so that would be useful. So if you do that, then thank you. And then the second thing is, yeah, I have no Arsenal assets against West Ham at home. Am I going to be pooing myself when that game's on? Yes. So part of me is wondering, could I maybe take a -4 to get an Arsenal asset? Thing is, I'm less keen for a couple of reasons. One, the main one I'd want is Gabriel. And it's not even just because he scored a goal, but obviously West Ham aren't amazing against set pieces. Although Nuno is in, so I'm kind of clinging on to the fact that he's going to make West Ham better defensively. But, you know, there is that chance that Gabriel could haul and go huge again, and that's just going to hurt me. So I can't get him anyway, so that's a no. Could maybe take a punt on a Timber who's been... His data looks so good, by the way. I don't know if you've seen. He's been playing really well. So he could be a nice punt, but then it's like, for who? And then could maybe get Raya, but that feels quite low upside in my opinion. And then I could maybe, you know, punt on an attacker like an Eze or a Rice. But minutes are a bit iffy. And I just like my midfield enough, I think. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't really like taking hits anyway. I take like 1 or 2 hits a season, probably max. But I may be thinking about it because it is going to scare me, that game. I'm not going to want to watch it. I don't think. I might have to hide. So if there are any players that you'd maybe consider me buying, don't forget I've got 0.7 mil in the bank. Then let me know. Do you think there's any that are worth it, or do you guys just think I hope and pray and then as soon as I activate the wild card, then I get the last assets in? So there we have it, guys. That's my team for Game Week 7. One last stance before the wild card. Clinging on a little bit longer. I'm not feeling too concerned. Again, I know, no Arsenal assets. That could kill me. But I think the team looks quite nice. Let me know what you guys think. Are there any major changes that you would make or not? I'm feeling okay. I think I can live with this. But like I said, I'm quite excited later on tomorrow to activate that wildcard chip. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Because I'll be activating my wildcard chip in Game Week 8, we can then discuss next week about the kind of players that I'm looking to bring in. I've got a bit of an idea of what I'm going to do, but yeah, tune in next week for that. See you guys soon, and I hope you have a good weekend. Bye bye.